You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Glad you can join me. Thank you for stopping by on another podcast with All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you are listening on Spotify, follow the podcast. If you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Make sure you go to my website, atswmikedavis.com. If you want to get in contact with the show or leave any comments or suggestions or read any of the blogs, I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. All right, so first things first, I like to kick the show off with all things Atlanta, and not much going on the home front, but my Atlanta Hawks seem to be, I don't want to use the word cursed, but something just isn't right. They just recently had the draft order selection, the draft lottery, and my Atlanta Hawks fell down to number 6. We were one of the worst teams in the league again, and when you're one of the worst teams, you want at least a top 2 or 3 pick. Lately, that hasn't happened for the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know what it is, what destiny has in store for my squad, but I don't like the way that the draft lottery is constructed. I prefer it to be like the NFL and the MLB, where you just pick where you are naturally seated according to your record. Now, I know the NBA wants to, they don't want teams tanking to get top picks, which is why they have the draft lottery in place. But my thing is you have to protect these teams that constantly finish at the bottom, because they're obviously not tanking to get, certain picks. Like, look at Golden State. Golden State ended up with a better pick than we did, and they just won, like, what is it, 3 out of the last 5 NBA finals? But they end up with a better pick than the Atlanta Hawks, who have pretty much finished at the bottom the past 3 seasons. So, again, my Hawks are going to have to kind of do things through the draft, not through the draft, I'm sorry, but free agency. And I don't know what it is about with Atlanta teams. We can't get top guys to come to Atlanta. They'll come in and live in Atlanta. They'll come and party in Atlanta, but they won't play for the home team. It's mind-boggling a lot of the times, trying to understand why. Look, Atlanta is a great place to live. If you have the money, Atlanta is one of the top cities in the United States to live in. Outside of your New Yorks and your Miamis and your LAs. I put Atlanta right up there. I put Atlanta right up there with those cities. But it's just heartbreaking that you can't get top guys to come and play for the professional teams here in Atlanta. Hopefully that changes soon. Hopefully Atlanta will attack free agency. I saw something earlier today. I don't, it's just rumor. It's not set in stone. It probably won't happen. But I saw something that Atlanta would maybe trade for DeMar DeRozan from San Antonio. I off top don't like that deal. I'm not big on DeRozan. He kind of fades away in the big moments. You saw what happened when Toronto got rid of him and brought in Kawhi. Then they, I know a lot of it had to do with LeBron James going to the West, but Kawhi, took him to the ultimate. But that's just one thing. I saw another trade rumor where San Antonio would send Aldridge back to Portland and send DeRozan to Miami. So, it's early. You don't know what's going to happen in the offseason. I just hope that my Atlanta Hawks can get something in free agency. We can't get anything in the draft. At least try to get something in free agency. Now, also, switch gears a little bit. So I didn't know that Madden 21 was out. I'm kind of behind on Madden. I'm slowly getting away from the Madden series. I was big on Madden growing up, like most kids. I've probably played pretty much all of them, just about. It might have been a couple early ones in the 90s when Madden was on Sega, when it was exclusively on Sega before it got the Super Nintendo. Maybe I haven't played those, but I can tell you from about 2000. No, it's got to be before that. Probably late 90s. Late 90s up until now, I've probably played every single Madden game there is. Now, there are petitions going around that customers of the new Madden 21 want the NFL to end its partnership with EA Sports. Now, for those of you that don't know, EA has a stranglehold on the NFL PA licensing. So they are the only ones that can put actual NFL players' likeness into a game, with names, numbers, teams, the whole shebang. Only EA Sports is allowed to do that under their deal with the NFL. So there are people that want the NFL to get out of that deal, because I've said myself on a previous podcast, Madden has not been a great game probably since the early 2000s. Now, I was just talking about I was playing Madden, probably late 90s or whatever up until now. Madden hasn't reigned supreme, in my opinion, probably since Madden 01. I believe that's the one with Eddie George was on the cover of one of those early ones in the early 2000s. I played them, but a lot of the times it was because you didn't have nothing else to play. When 2K came out with NFL 2K on the Dreamcast, I made the switch over to play NFL 2K. Now, I wasn't in the NFL 2K when 2K came out the first time on Dreamcast. I got into 2K, 2K1, 2K2. 2K2 was when it took off, when I was like, I'm done with Madden. I'll play it, but I'm on the 2K side of things when 2K2 came out. And pretty much it went on up until, 2K5 when T.O., Terrell Owens, was on the cover. Bar none, you talk to anybody who plays sports video games, 2K5 is probably the best football game, simulated football game ever. That's the problem with Madden that a lot of people don't understand. There's a difference between simulation games and arcade games. Arcade games play like games that are made for a 3-year-old child. Simulation are games where it is supposed to be like the real thing. Madden hasn't played like that in over probably 15 years. Madden is very cartoony at times. Now, I know, like, if you go to the 2K side of the NBA side of things, you got certain animations that'll come off cartoony, but it's simulation basketball. So you accept the bad because it's a good product. It's really simulation ball. Madden, on the other hand, is too cartoon. It's too gimmicky. You get a guy that plays that game, Madden, long enough, one of those dudes that sit at home all day in his mom's basement, doesn't have a job, no girlfriend, no life, and he just plays Madden 23 hours out of the day. That guy that has like 2,000 wins, when you go and look at the records, that guy, that's the guy that can beat everybody. He knows all the glitches, all the gimmicky tricks, so he's pretty much undefeated. But for the rest of us, we don't like it. I haven't liked Madden in a long time. I guess I'm loyal to it, so I buy it and I play it. You're pretty much just buying updated rosters and updated stadiums. That's pretty much all you're buying when you buy Madden. So they're saying that Madden has declined in quality significantly over the course of this past decade because EA has a pure monopoly on the football game market and have no reason to innovate. They upgrade the game engine, graphic engines, they add a few new tackle mechanics, and they call it a day. And I, for one, I have to agree with that. It is what it is. Sorry, man. Like I said, I haven't played the new Madden. I played last year's Madden. I tinkered around with it. My girl, she bought me Madden, and she was upset because I didn't play it enough. I didn't play like I played 2K. So she said she's never buying me Madden football ever again. And that's fine. But buy me 2K. All right, I'm going to keep it football here, but let's go to some real football. Let's step over into the NFL. I didn't get a chance to talk about this, but Earl Thomas being released in Baltimore. The Ravens have released Earl Thomas after an on-field scuffle with a teammate that became an indictment of the Pro Bowl safety's role on a Super Bowl contender. Now, the Ravens announced that they have terminated the contract for personal conduct that has affected the team. So that's it for Earl Thomas. He's had a string of bad luck. Earl Thomas, let's just start back in Seattle when the whole thing started. Earl Thomas wanted to get out of Seattle bad. He didn't want to play there anymore because he felt he wasn't being paid what he should have been paid. And remember when they played a game in Dallas and he went over to the Cowboys locker room. It was on television. And he told Jason Garrett to come get me. It's kind of disrespectful and a slap in the face to your team to do that right after a game. So that left a bad taste in some people's mouths. And then you go on and there was a game, I believe it was against the Cardinals, where he broke his leg. And I understood his frustration because in the NFL, you want to get your money. The NFL stands for not for long. So you want to get your money, and he got hurt, broke his leg, and who's to say that he was going to be able to come back from that broken leg at that time in his career? So remember, he was carted off the field throwing the finger at head coach Pete Carroll, and that pretty much ended his Seahawks days, and he ended up signing as a free agent with the Ravens. But, I read into some things that he's been late to several team meetings, and he's rubbing people the wrong way. And remember, the whole offseason situation with his wife. His wife put a gun into his face after she found him and his brother in bed with another woman, So you had that whole situation. And Baltimore may have been looking for a way to get rid of him. And in that situation, look, Earl Thomas made a terrible mistake, but it wasn't his fault for, guns being involved and all that. And, I won't get into the whole situation. I'm pretty sure you've heard of it by now. If not, you can go read about it. But Baltimore might have already been looking for a reason to get rid of him. And if I was him, I would have been on pins and needles, just shut up, know my role, do my job, go home. But, in life, you have some people that don't know how to do that. They get in their own way. They self-destruct. They sabotage themselves. And that's what happened with Earl Thomas. If you know that you're on your last chance, maybe you don't want to fight with teammates the way Earl Thomas was. So, adios. Earl Thomas is out of Baltimore. We'll see where he ends up. Rumor has it that I guess Dallas is finally going to come get him. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's go down to my division, the NFC South. It's where my Falcons play. But not Falcon news. More my rivals, the New Orleans Saints. Alvin Kamara apparently is holding out. Now, the New Orleans Saints running back, now he has an unexcused absence from training camp since Friday. Now, the absence is believed to be a contract-related absence. Now, Kamara is scheduled to make $2.1 million in the final year of his rookie contract. Now, he reported for the start of training camp and participated for the first several weeks, insisting at the time that he was not focused on his contract. The running back said that he had even instructed his agent, don't tell me anything about a contract until it's like something where it's happening or there's something I need to know. It'll happen when it happens. That's what Kamara said. Now, by holding out, Alvin Kamara could risk losing an accrued season, meaning he will become a restricted free agent after this season instead of an unrestricted free agent. Now, according to the collective bargaining agreement, a player under contract would lose an accrued season if he fails to report to training camp on the mandatory reporting date, or if the player thereafter fails to perform his contract services for the club for a material period of time. Now, the Saints could also fine Kamara up to $40,000 per day. Now, those fines are not mandatory since Kamara is still on his rookie contract. Kamara, he was hampered last year by knee and ankle injuries that forced him to miss 2 games and play on one leg pretty much for the final 3 games once he returned. Now, he finished the year with 797 yards rushing. And let's see, he had a career low in 533 yards receiving and a career low 6 touchdowns. That should show you the type of work that this man puts in, that those were career lows for him. There are guys right now that will take those numbers. Over 700 yards rushing, over 500 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns. I think Julio Jones averages like 6 touchdowns a year. That's a career low for Kamara. And he's still on his rookie deal. Now, I also saw late last night that the Saints are open to trading him. They're open to trading him. Now, they want a first rounder for him, but I always approach these situations carefully. The man has been putting in work. It's one thing if you say, okay, hold out and we're just going to, we're going to franchise tag him. They don't even care about that. They're just, we'll trade him. Give us a first and we'll trade him. That's a little odd. That makes me believe that there's something going on with the nagging injuries he had last season. And maybe it's flaring up again this season. I don't know. That's I know I don't trust Sean Payton anyway. I don't trust Payton at all. But that's a little concerning that New Orleans would get that drastic. You go from he's 1 year away from being a free agent to, all right, we'll just trade him. And it could be New Orleans is saying, look, we're not going to be able to afford him, so we'll let him go. I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me. But I don't have a problem with NFL players getting their money. Get your money. The NFL is not for long, so get all the money you can get. Alvin Kamara, he is a pain in the you-know-what. I've seen him play against my Falcons. I've seen him play against other division rivals like Carolina. He is a pain in the you-know-what. The man runs possessed. I mean, he is, outside of McCaffrey for Carolina, Kamara is right up there. I mean, he's one of the best backs in the league. A stud. He can do it all. He can run, catch out the backfield. The man, he's the man. All right. So, also other NFL news, the Jacksonville Jaguars end up cutting Leonard Fournette. I feel bad for Jags fans. So this move ends wow. This move ends a tumultuous. Am I saying that right? Tumultuous. Someone pronounce the word for me, please. Don't do that to me. All right, so Leonard Fournette is cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars. That move ends a 3-year run in which Fournette rushed for 2,631 yards, 17 touchdowns. The Jags didn't pick up his 5th-year option during the offseason and was actively pursuing a trade without receiving any serious offers. Now, Leonard Fournette, he thanked the Jaguars and their fans in a tweet, writing, "We have been through some ups and some downs, but y'all have had my back through it all. You have the deepest respect and appreciation." Now, I'm going to tell you this, Leonard Fournette's not going to last long out there on the free agent market. You know, the running back position is a pretty much disrespected position in terms of how the league takes care of backs and they pay them. But there's always a need for a running back, always. A back of his caliber. So Leonard Fournette, we'll see where he ends up, but he is no longer a Jacksonville Jaguar, as he has been waived by the Jags. All right. So I'm going to get on to the story of the day. We're going to leave the NFL alone for now. Some sad news, as you all know, over the weekend, Chadwick Boseman passed away. You can call him by his name or you can call him Black Panther. What most people call him by anyway. Black Panther. So I'll be honest with you. I have not seen the Black Panther movie at all. I haven't seen it. And I've seen a lot of his other movies. Haven't seen the Black Panther. I saw 42. You know, I saw the James Brown movie. I thought he was excellent in the James Brown movie. I thought he was excellent in 42 as well. There's another movie that I saw him in. I can't think of it right now off the top of my head, but look, this is a black man that a lot of people my color looked up to. You know, when you say you want to be a respectable human being, you know, just a respectable man. Chadwick Boseman, that's what he was. You know, he was a humble human. I saw something where he was on the Jimmy Fallon show, and there were people paying their respects to him about the Black Panther movie. And he was behind the curtain listening to these people. Now, like I just said, I've never seen the Black Panther. I might be the only black person that's never seen that movie. But it was even just watching that segment, it was a humbling experience as a man to see how people respected this man and how they took that role so serious that he played in that movie. Now, I asked my girlfriend. My girlfriend knows the kind of movies that I'm into, the kind of movies I watch. And I asked her, she's seen Black Panther, and her son has seen the Black Panther. And I remember when, you know, he was in the house, you know, we all lived together. And I remember he was in the house just putting all type of Black Panther stuff up around the house on the fridge. You know, I don't know where he saw the movie at, but it wasn't with me. But I had asked her, you know, over the weekend, I said, should I see the Black Panther? And she says, you're not going to like it. Just like, she doesn't even bat an eye. She says, you're not going to like it. And I said, really? And she says, yeah, I know your taste in movies. And it's bad. I feel bad because I have a certain taste. I do have a certain taste. And I'm very picky and selective when it comes to movies. movies today aren't great like movies of the yesteryear, and I have to get out of, doing that. And I love comedy. I pretty much watch anything comedy. Comedy is my number one genre, but I'm not really into the superhero movies. A lot of times those movies don't follow the real storylines. It's like with X-Men. X-Men's missing like 50% of the characters out of the movies, So what's funny was just a couple of Saturdays ago, I was watching the old X-Men cartoons on YouTube, just to go back and watch some of the old stuff that I used to watch. But I can't watch any of the movies because they don't follow the storyline that I saw. What's another? Transformers. I think I've seen maybe one Transformers movie, and I refuse to watch them because it doesn't follow the storyline of the Transformers I watched growing up. Remember, Optimus Prime died. He didn't come back. They brought him back for a movie special that was a television special. But that was it. The cartoon went on with Optimus Prime dead. So I don't watch a lot of the superhero stuff. I gave Batman versus Superman a try. I remember going to watch that movie, and it probably had maybe like 5 to 10 minutes worth of action. And I was so bored out of my mind. I was ready to go. I was over it. So I might watch Black Panther this weekend. In honor of Mr. Chadwick Boseman, I might watch it this weekend. Just give it a chance. I like Michael B. Jordan as an actor. I like him too. I know it's not about him as far as, the situation going on right now with Boseman passing. And I want to say that I hope that I have the strength that Boseman had. The fact that this man was filming movies in between chemo and surgeries, I mean, that takes a lot of strength. So my hat's off to Chadwick Boseman on a successful career, but better yet, being a better human. So hats off to him. So this was just an unfortunate weekend of just people just passing, because after I saw that Chadwick Boseman had passed on, I wake up the next day, Saturday morning, and I see former Portland Trailblazers big man Clifford Robinson had passed on. To me, he was the original headband guy. You go back to the 90s, Clifford Robinson was pretty much the only one wearing the headband. So, former Trailblazers big man Cliff Robinson died Saturday at the age of 53. The 6'10" big man played at UConn from 85 to 89, where he helped the Huskies win the 1988 NIT. He was a second-round pick, 36 overall by the Portland Trailblazers in the 1989 draft. 89 draft, yeah. He spent the first 8 years of his career in Portland. Robinson helped the franchise reach the NBA Finals in 1990 and 1992. And he was a 1993 NBA Sixth Man of the Year. In 1994, while with the Trailblazers, he made his first and only All-Star game. Saturday evening, the Robinson family released a statement which included that Clifford Robinson's cause of death was lymphoma. Now, lymphoma is a form of cancer. So, it's pretty much what Chadwick Boseman passed on from. I don't know what form of cancer it was, but cancer is cancer, man, and cancer is it's all you can say is just F cancer, Just sad and more sad news, from the college basketball ranks. John Thompson passed away at 78. Now, John Thompson, he led the Georgetown Hoyas to the 1984 national championship, built the program into a juggernaut, taking the Hoyas to 3 Final Fours in the 1980s, while also winning 7 Big East titles and leading the 1988 United States national team to a bronze medal in the Olympics. Thompson's coaching legacy includes the recruitment and development of 4 players in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame: Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, and Allen Iverson. Thompson, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1999, was a pioneer credited with opening the door for a generation of minority coaches. His national title run in 1984 was the first by a black head coach and altered the perception of black coaches. He finished his coaching career with a 596 win record to 239 losses. That's a hell of a record. So, RIP to John Thompson, the legendary head coach of the Georgetown Warriors. You remember John Thompson walking up and down those sidelines. He had the towel draped over his shoulder. I remember growing up, I thought that that's how coaches were supposed to coach, But, some guys kind of look at it as a swag thing. But, it's one of those things where you just sweat a lot. Because my dad does it. He walks around with a towel over his shoulder. My brother does the same thing. Some people swag. Some people because you need to. I'm getting up there in age, and I feel like I need a towel over my shoulders sometimes dealing with this heat in Georgia. But that's what I thought John Thompson. John Thompson was one of those guys who commanded respect. And you can see it whenever you saw him give an interview to guys. One of my favorite interviews with him was when he was interviewing Penny Hardaway. And this was right before Penny Hardaway got into coaching. And he was asking Penny Hardaway, pretty much what's going on with your life. You've been injury prone, and what does the future hold? It was almost like he was kind of pick Penny's brain. And it was one of the best interviews I'd ever seen. So from John Thompson. So if you have a chance, go check that interview out. So I want to say RIP to those 3 guys. Man, rough. They say death's come in threes. And Clifford Robinson, Chadwick Boseman, John Thompson, RIP to those great gentlemen. Just a sad weekend. Sad weekend. So let's transition over to some lighter things. NBA talk. The Charlotte Hornets, they're not in the news for much at all. And when I tell you they're not in the news for much, they're not in the news for much, but they're in the news because they unveiled new jerseys. The double pinstripes are back. I said it. The double pinstripes are back. The Hornets are moving to the future while honoring the past, and fans are loving the new look. The pinstripes on the jerseys are reminiscent of those worn by the original Charlotte Hornets from 1997 to 2002. Now, I do remember those jerseys back in the day. Those were nice. I've seen these jerseys now with the 2 pinstripes in them. I don't care much for them. It doesn't move the meter for me. It doesn't do much for me. For some fans, it might, and I get it. But it doesn't compare to that old throwback, Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning jersey, or even, like they said, the 97 through 02 Hornets with Glenn Rice, when those guys were rocking the double pinstripe on the Hornet jersey. But I really didn't care much for those jerseys I just saw, but it is what it is. The Hornets got to get in the news for something, right? They don't do much on the floor, kind of like my Atlanta Hawks. So, boom, boom. All right, let's move on to some NBA playoffs. Are you all keeping up with the playoffs? I'm keeping up with it a little bit. It started to intrigue me a little bit. I said I would probably watch once the second round of the playoffs hit. Now it's starting to get interesting to me. So you had your first little beef between Luka Doncic and one of the Morris brothers. And I've said in previous podcasts how I do not like the Morris brothers. They come off as fake tough guys. And, one night, Luka Doncic was suffering from a sprained ankle. And so one of the Morris brothers goes and steps on his ankle. He said it wasn't on purpose. I think it was on purpose. And then the next night, he slaps him across the face, Luka Doncic, going up for a layup. And I just think that, it's one thing to be, you can be the fake tough guy, but you got to pick your right spots. Don't try and hurt a guy. It came off to me like he was trying to hurt him because, Doncic, let's be real, Doncic is the Dallas Mavericks, and Porzingis wasn't playing. So your only scoring threat, that can get the team rolling would be Doncic. And it seemed like the Morris brother was taking the P way out. He was copping out and he tried to injure him. I wouldn't be mad if there was even a game 1 suspension for Morris in the next series. I mean, you can't do that. You can't. You just can't do that. I just don't like the Morris brothers. They just rub me the wrong way. All right, moving on. More NBA playoff talk. The Bucks and Heat. Bucks and Heat. Now, the Heat ended up stealing game 1 from the Milwaukee Bucks. But like I've told people, they're on this Milwaukee Buck train because of Giannis, and I get it. Hold on, I have to say his name. I got to say his last name. Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo. Okay, so the problem really isn't Giannis. The problem is Mike Budenholzer. And I've said this in previous podcasts before. Mike Budenholzer is not a playoff coach. Once you get to the playoffs, you have to make adjustments. And the thing that's going on is they're not making adjustments at all. So when that happens, guess what, Bucks fans? You're probably going to lose in a 7-game series because I can strategize for you for 7 whole games. And it's like Mike Budenholzer just doesn't get it. He did this when he was in Atlanta. I've seen it. I've seen it up close and personal. All right? So it wouldn't shock me if the Miami Heat go on and win this series. And if you notice in game 1, they played kind of like they did what Toronto did last season, where they kind of went to a zone. It was like a soft zone, what they went to, forcing Milwaukee to shoot. Now, for some reason, with everyone's psyche, when you force a team to shoot, which Milwaukee has shooters, they can't hit. I don't know what it is about that. All of a sudden, when a team wants you to shoot and lets you shoot, a shooting team, you can't hit. You can't hit the other side of the barn. So they forced Giannis to shoot. They weren't going to let him get, run that halfback dive up the middle play that he likes to run, where he just takes 2 steps and he's at the rim. So Miami was having none of that. So they were going to play a zone and force him to shoot the ball. And Budenholzer is going to have to, he's got to come up with some type of game plan to maybe you need to put Giannis in the post, even if they're playing in the zone. Maybe some, I don't know. Giannis is such a freak. I don't know where you would put him. But, hey, I don't get paid for that. Mike Budenholzer does. And he keeps coming up short. But yet he's looked at as one of the best coaches in the league. He's one of the best regular season coaches. I'll give him that. But nothing past that. All right. So, yeah. I just want to say I still pick the Los Angeles Clippers to represent the West in the NBA Finals. I said if it's not the Clippers, it's the Lakers. But in the West, the road to the finals goes through LA. But in the meantime, you have the Rockets and Thunder series going on. And the Thunder are looking to pull off an upset in a 7-game win or go home situation. I think it's tonight. That game is tonight. So here's my thing. When are people going to wake up and say that Russell Westbrook is the problem? Kevin Durant couldn't win with him. They blamed KD. Russell had Carmelo. He had Paul George. He couldn't win with them. He has James Harden now. He can't win with him. It comes a point in time where you have to look yourself in the mirror as a man. And the problem is Russell Westbrook. His basketball IQ sucks. It's no other way to put it. His basketball IQ is low. I saw an interesting stat where it was a couple of years where Russell didn't have a game where he shot 50% from the field. At least one game. He went a stretch of years. I think it was a 3-year period. Do you know how hard that is to do? Now, as a guard, he's not going to shoot 50% more times than not anyway. But a game or two in there, you would like to see he shot 50% where he was on fire. But his basketball IQ doesn't let him because he makes terrible mistakes. He takes the wrong shots at the wrong time. For some reason, he thinks he's a three-point shooter. He's not. And trust me, he will turn that ball over. So I think the Thunder are going to pull it out in the Game 7. I think D'Antoni is fired. And the Rockets are going to have to figure out what they're going to do with this situation they have on their hand. I say break the whole thing up. I say trade Harden, trade Westbrook, start over. It is what it is. They already traded Clint Capella. Remember, they moved him really because they were bringing Westbrook in. So Westbrook can have more room to operate. He really couldn't operate with Capella just hanging down low in that paint. So again, I got OKC winning Game 7. I just do. And if Westbrook doesn't find a way to win this game tonight, he is going to be looked at as I can't even say that, but he should. The media, I don't. He doesn't have thick skin, So I don't know, but the media's gonna have a field day with him. That's all I know, and I think deservingly so. Deservingly so. Yeah. All right. So before I get out of here, I want to talk a little MLB talk. A little baseball, a little, the bat and the ball. All right, so the MLB is talking a bubble postseason. So it appears that Major League Baseball playoffs will be played in a bubble out west. The 2020 MLB postseason bubble will feature the National League teams in Arlington and Houston, and the American League teams in San Diego and Los Angeles. Now, by implementing a playoff bubble, Major League Baseball will drastically cut down on the amount of travel for their 16 playoff teams. Additionally, the 4 cities the league is expected to choose for their bubble are all in warm climates where wintry weather is non-existent and rain is not very frequent. The 2 Texas stadiums also have retractable roofs to allow for baseball to be played despite less favorable weather conditions. So there you go. There should be no rain outs. There should be no snow outs. There should be no bad weather. So baseball is going to get a playoff bubble, kind of like the NBA. Keep everybody there. Let's play these games. Let's knock them out. Let's get a World Series champion. I have no problems with it. So, yeah. Can't wait to see what happens. So, also, I wanted to get on Adam Wainwright. Please. Can I give this man an applause, please? So, give him an applause. Somebody. Wainwright throws a complete game. This was Monday. Adam Wainwright turned back the clock with a complete game on his 39th birthday at the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Cleveland Indians 7-2 on Sunday. I said it was Monday. I'm sorry, it was Sunday. So, Wainwright threw a 4-hitter for his 23rd career complete game and his first in 4 years at 39 years old. Wow, complete game. So the Cardinals snapped a 4-game skid during this game in which they scored 6 total runs. So, yeah, shout out to Adam Wainwright. I just wanted to just congratulate him on his complete game at 39. You don't see too many pitchers going the distance nowadays. You know, teams are so afraid. And, we got him on a pitch count, and you know, we gotta watch that elbow. You know, we don't need a guy tearing his elbow up, and then he'll be out all next year with Tommy John surgery. And so, shout out to Adam Wainwright at 39 years old, going the distance, getting the win. Shout out to him. Hey, look, guys, that's all I got for you today. Wow, that was a great show today. That was a really great show. I enjoyed today's podcast. I really enjoyed it. But unfortunately, that's all I got for you today. Hey, look, I thank you, all of you, for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, subscribe and comment, like, all that good stuff. Make sure you go to my website, atswmikedavis.com. That's to get in contact with the show, for comments or suggestions, or read blogs. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace. Happy Wednesday.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.